What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Snooker Addict channel, where today we are going to be previewing the 2023 Champion of Champions, which is by far one of my personal favourite tournaments of the season since it got introduced about 10 years ago. We're going to have O'Sullivan again defending his title from last year, and he's actually going for a fifth win at the event, which he has been just a complete dominant force in. We've only got one other player that's ever won this tournament on more than one occasion, and that's Neil Robertson, who ironically isn't in this tournament this year due to his difficulties over the past 12 months or so. But I'm going to have a look at the draw, predict who I fancy to get through to the semi-finals from each of the groups, and take a look at some of the key statistics that might determine the outcome of some matches. If we go straight into Monday, which kicks off with Group 4, you'd have to say it's pretty open between three of those guys to get through. Jimmy fully merited his spot here through winning the World Seniors Championship this spring. And yes, he does still pull some wins out of the bag throughout the course of a season, but you have to think he's against a calibre of opponent that you think will just be too strong for him. Mark Allen, who he'll be playing first, he's the only previous winner of this tournament in this group. And he hasn't yet hit the same heights that he achieved last season. However, he does boast a pretty good record at this tournament. If I'm looking at it now, between 2015 and 2020, he reached semi-finals or better 5 times in a row, losing in the 2015 final before winning it in 2020. And he does usually prove himself to be a man for the bigger occasions. And then we have Mark Selby and Ali Carter, which you have to fancy will be an evenly matched contest. Both have been in really good form this season. Both have reached finals. They just haven't been able to get their hands on a trophy as of yet. Looking at their records in this tournament, Selby has reached 3 semi-finals but never a final. And in fact, he is still searching for his first tournament win on ITV. Ali, on the other hand, well, he's only been in this tournament 4 times before, and he's only got 1 win to his name, and that was back in 2013. Both play a very similar style of snooker, and like I say, both are in really good form. Selby does have a superior head-to-head record though between them, with 13 wins to Carter's 6. So for that reason, I'm just fancying him to edge past him, possibly in a decider. And so if we did indeed get a Selby-Allen quarterfinal, look, it'll be a classic. Their head-to-head is tied at 8 wins apiece, and there's a stat that usually gets brought up between the pair, and that is that they have played each other in 8 best-of-11 matches, and 7 of those have gone to a decider. Obviously, the quarterfinal here would also be a best-of-11, so that would be an ominous sign that this is going to go to the wire too. They've played each other at this tournament twice before, and Allen has won them both, but this is of course a repeat of their recent World Championship semi-final as well, which Selby just about edged out. If this is the quarterfinal, then it will be a coin toss in my opinion, but I am going to stick my nose out and have it be Selby making his way through to the semi-finals. Then we go into Tuesday, and this group will be headed up by the world champion Luca Bressel. He hasn't landed a title yet since that big win in Sheffield, but he has reached a final, and still looks to me to be a man full of confidence. Someone else, though, who has been flying this season is Barry Hawkins, with that European Masters title to his name and a string of other really good performances since. At this tournament, Bressel has only 1 semi-final appearance to his name, whereas Hawkins has never gotten out of a group before. So both will be keen to have a pretty good run this week, you'd fancy. There's only been 3 previous meetings between the two, but perhaps the most important one was earlier this season where Hawkins won in a decider en route to his European Masters win. And based on recent form alone, I would fancy him to get a similar result here. Then we've got Rob Milkins. Well, here, he is only here for the 2nd time after making his debut at the event last season, where he lost to O'Sullivan in his first match. And that real purple patch of form that he found at the end of last season helped propel him into this event and also the top 16. There's not been much to shout about for Rob so far this season, unlike Mark Williams though, who has won the British Open earlier this term. The Welshman has only been at this tournament twice before and never won a match here either, so it is a group full of inexperience when it comes to this specific tournament. I fancy Williams to get through his opening match, but I have been so impressed with Hawkins in recent weeks that I have to fancy him to be the one to get through this group. Right, moving on to Wednesday, and it will be the defending champion's turn to open up his bid for a 5th title at this event. And look, his record here like most other invitational events in truth, is pretty astounding. 4 previous wins, 2 other times he's been a runner-up, and he also has another semi-final to his name. And this is all in the space of 10 years. Remember, this tournament only came into effect in 2013. So even though his performances in ranking titles ever since his last World Championship title have been fairly disappointing, he rarely fails to deliver at these big invitational events. And he will in fact be playing Zhang Anda, who very impressively won his maiden title yesterday at the International Championship. And I'll talk more about him in my breakdown of that tournament, but this will be his debut at this event, and really his first flavour at a tournament like this at all. His draw couldn't have been much tougher, in truth, but he has already beaten O'Sullivan twice this season, including last week on his way to that big title. So there really shouldn't be a mental barrier there. And for me, this could go one of two ways. Either he comes out firing with all the confidence that he would have gained from last week, or he might struggle to reach that same level of intensity so soon after winning the biggest tournament of his life. Potentially jet lag could also play a factor. So I am going to take the easy road and go for a win for O'Sullivan here. But if he's not on it, and in truth he hasn't been on it too much this season, then Zhang is very clearly capable of punishing him. There is also another former winner in this group in the shape of John Higgins. Now, he beat O'Sullivan back in 2016 to win the title. He also reached the final 2 years ago, losing to Judd Trump on that occasion. Now, I've spoken before about how good generally Higgins still looks, but it is unbelievable how many times in the past couple of years that he's managed to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory against the big players. Wakelin, now he is of course here by virtue of his win at the shootout last season, and he did also reach another final this season before losing to Judd Trump. This will certainly be a learning curve for him, playing in an event like this for the first time. And whilst I don't expect him to play like a deer in the headlights, because he is a pretty cool character, I do again think this match will go the way of the favourite. Now, that of course would leave us with another big matchup between these two heavyweights. There's not much to say about them that's not already been said. They've played at this tournament against each other 4 times already, and it's 2 wins apiece in that respect. And it does go without saying that there is not an awful lot to separate these guys. What I do think will be really interesting to see is what happens to Higgins if he managed to get to 5 frames first. Because like I say, getting over the winning line against these players has been a real issue for him. He was 5-2 up against O'Sullivan in Shanghai this season before managing to lose 6-5. And that doubt is playing on my mind a little bit when I come to predicting this group. But I am going to take a slight risk and predict Higgins to finally get a win like this under his belt. And that really could give him the confidence to go all the way. Well, then our final group leaves us with the man of the season, Judd Trump, whose incredible winning run was finally ended last week by Stephen Maguire. But the 2021 champion of this event comes into this tournament as heavy favourite for me. And look, poor Bipet, the young Thai curist who earned her spot this week by winning the Women's World Championships, is going to have a bit of a baptism of fire on Thursday, to say the least. She hasn't won a match on the professional tour yet this season, and while she is undoubtedly talented, this unfortunately does feel a bit of a mismatch with the form that Judd brings with him, and she may not even get a chance to demonstrate her abilities if Judd turns it on for this match. So yeah, unfortunately I can only see this going one way, and it being a pretty heavy Judd Trump win. Also in this group we have the last remaining previous winner of the tournament in Shaun Murphy, who picked up the title in 2017. But actually his record outside of that here isn't the greatest. He's lost his opening match 6 times from his 9 appearances at this tournament. If we look at this season in general, it started very well for Shaun. He landed the opening tournament of the season at the Championship League in the summer, but he hasn't really managed to kick on from that as of yet. Now he plays Gary Wilson, who is another player making his debut at this event, and he earned his place after winning the Scottish Open last December. Now this is actually a match I'm probably struggling with the most because I do not know exactly where Shaun's game is at right now. Wilson is also no stranger to beating the very best players, and in fact has beaten Sean in their previous 2 meetings. Personally, I would really like to see a Murphy-Trump matchup because those are usually amazing given how free-flowing and attacking they are. But I do just have a slight feeling that Wilson might spring a small surprise here. The truth is, however, I would just struggle to see either of these guys getting past Judd Trump. He's not invincible, and it is impossible to play as well as he has been in every single tournament. But for me, he is just in his own little world right now, and it's up for the rest of the tour to try and catch him. So whilst I'm sure that he will get a sterner test in the quarterfinals, for me, this is a group where I can only see Judd Trump making it out of. So, in the very unlikely event that I've managed to predict any of that right, I believe that would leave us with a semi-final lineup of Hawkins against Higgins and Trump against Selby, which, as you would expect from a tournament like this, will be very, very tasty. Judd will be the man to stop, there's absolutely no doubt about that. But Hawkins and Selby have beaten him this season, and Higgins got within a frame of beating him too, so they will all know that their game is in a good enough shape to at least challenge him. If I had to stick my neck out and choose an overall winner though, I am gonna back Selby just because it amazes me that he's not won an ITV event yet. And although he has suffered a few early losses in recent weeks, I do think his overall game is looking pretty strong, and this could just be the week that it all clicks for him. Apologies, Mark. I have definitely put a jinx on you there, but whatever happens, I am really looking forward to this tournament as it is one of the best on the calendar for me. As always, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to let me know in the comments who you're backing to win the trophy on Sunday, and I'll be back to review all the action next week.